Hey everyone. Well, I thought we would start a new segment with these videos that I've been doing. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of the graphic design textbooks that we use in class that you may look at, they tend to use the cream of the crop as far as graphic design is used, and that's fine. The textbooks are excellent resources, but I thought it would be kind of fun to look at some more of the what you might call pedestrian graphic design. That is, things that we might have around the house, things that surround us, things that might come in the mail, or you might even see, at the grocery store. So I thought we would start off with National Geographic here. Now, National Geographic it's interesting. It's in the sense of the visual hierarchy. The first thing, of course, you notice with this magazine is the yellow border. This is something that's been used for decades and has become, the trademark of this magazine. And the reason I think it's interesting is because it is indeed the first thing that you see. And you can recognize this magazine from across the room, and you instantly know what it is, and it's great brand recognition for any periodical or any product. But it's like you see it, but you don't. It's an entity / non-entity, whereas you see the yellow border, and then you immediately jump to the inside. And in National Geographic, when they design these covers, they sort of do the same thing. They know it's there and they use it, but at the same time they kind of ignore it, in the sense that a lot of times if you'll have a large solid color on a cover or a product, they'll tend to pick up that color and use it elsewhere, maybe with a copy or another design element. But here they just let the border be what it is. It's the border, it's there, and then for the inside they just sort of do their own thing. And the other thing you might notice too is the name of the magazine at the top, National Geographic. You'll notice that it's very tightly kerned. The letters are just about as close as you can get without them crashing into one another. And what this does, it allows them to make this as large as they can, because if you spread these letters out, the Geographic would probably, go from here to here, and you would have to shrink the name of the magazine down, and it would be much smaller. So they really tightened it up and got that title as big as they possibly can. Another thing is that they're using a thin font, which helps too, and it's a serif font. It's a very traditional font, mainstream, respectable even. National Geographic, they have self-identity that they're trying to uphold, and they're a very respectable organization, and they want to project that, and they're not going to use something crazy, some fanciful font. And here's the kids version. Here, check this out. Here's National Geographic. They kept it up here, being you use a sans serif font, but kids, nice and big. So they're here they're trying to really play up the fun aspect. And well, I should probably look at this in another video, but with here they want to keep the respectability and keep it as large as they can. Another thing you might notice too is the placement of this object. I mean, they could have gone much smaller and shown you the entire whatever this thing is. I guess I should have actually read the article before I talked about this, but they didn't show the whole thing. They blew it up so you could see the detail, make it larger, and they cropped it so it's going off to the sides, which just visually makes it more interesting. And I can absolutely guarantee you that they shot this on a white sweep, white background. And then they just brought it into Photoshop, outlined it, and then they put in the background with this dramatic red. And for the background, they could have done a lot of things to it. They obviously wanted to keep it nice and clean and smooth, because the thing that they're trying to show here is it's very textured. I don't know if you can see it, but there's lots of cracks and paint chipping away. So they really wanted you to hone in on the physicality of the subject matter. So they kept the background nice and smooth. But what they did do, if you notice in the two corners here, is they put in a very dark gradation. So going this way and out, away from the face, it's almost black. It's just about as black as you can get without being black. It's just a tinge of the red in there. Now, let's look at the little headline here. They could have done this in a whole variety of different ways. I mean, they could have just used the same size of font and just written it all the way across, the She King of Egypt. But I thought it was nice that they took two of the words that really don't make much, I don't want to say they don't make much difference in the sentence, but they're the less important words, in this case being the and of. And they shrunk them down. So that way the words She King and Egypt are much more predominant and jump out with this. They did keep the words the and of at the same time, at the same size. And She King Egypt is all one word. Egypt might be a little bit bigger. I'd have to lay a rule on that, but I think it's just a little bit bigger. But the important thing is they kept these two the same size. And they just didn't plop them down anywhere. The edge of this T, if you can see, that lines up with the H, and the top of the of lines up with the top of the E. And actually the edge of the F almost lines up with the H here also. So, you know, they just didn't plop it in. They place these in here so they connect almost like puzzle pieces. It's a lot of times they'll call it hanging. They'll say hang the T off of the H or hang the F off of the E. So, so again, the main words pop out when you're just glancing at this cover to tell you a little bit more quickly what it's all about. And also it makes it just visually interesting by having two different sizes and maybe even three. It gives the type some visual depth to it. Down here at the bottom, these are the callouts for the rest of the magazine. And it's the same font that's used up here. The font at the top is actually condensed font. Again, the same thing with the name of the magazine. Condensed font, tightly kerned. That means you can get it up to be larger. But down here, it's the regular size font. It is a thicker font, though. It's a thicker version of it, all caps. And then after that, they have the page number here. Australia Goes Dry. Then the 34. The 34 and all the rest of the page numbers are a thin font. That's because you have two different pieces of information here. You have, the name of the article, Australia Goes Dry, and then the page number for the reference of where to find it. So, instead of putting in, a hyphen or a semicolon or something, another piece of another font or something in there, they made the page number thinner, so it will separate between this, and also you'll see they put in plenty of air, plenty of leading in between this whole block down here, so that it can be easily read. And again, lining stuff up, you'll see that this whole chunk of copy hangs off of the E. Alright, so the top we have the hanging off and of, and then even this hangs off. And you also notice too down at the bottom here, they left enough space so it's not crashing into the into the yellow border here. So there we have it, the April 2009 edition of National Geographic. Thanks.